It all starts, well, why don't we start here?
Yeah. It's a museum.
It's Heritage Center.
Heritage Center, better word.
Yeah, so this is a continuation car. Looks a lot like Carroll's original that sold for $13.75 million years ago. So obviously that value continues to go up. And it certainly didn't look like this. The seats were all ratty and so forth. But the important thing I want to show you today is Carroll always wanted to give back. So after he got his heart transplant, he started the Carroll Shelby Children's Foundation at the time, and it's really evolved into the Carroll Shelby Foundation.
Right.
Carroll's grandson, Aaron Shelby, who's on the board of directors, is also, the CEO of the Carroll Shelby Foundation.
Yeah, and if you ever see the guy, he looks just like Carroll as a young man.
He really does. And the cool thing is, Aaron, is carrying on that legacy, and that part of it is he's running the foundation. And it also helps us with our meetings at Ford Motor Company. It's nothing like having your name on the building and being a great guy and a car guy and so forth. Yeah. But in this case, it's a way to give back. And Carroll got a heart transplant in 1990, kidney transplant in 1996. And so when the doctors told him in 1960 you might have 5 years to live, and you lived 52 more, wow. There's a lot of blessings there.
Awesome. These are fun driving old cars too.
Oh, they're great little cars.
And speaking of these cars, I see some really hot looking ones across the way.
So this is pretty cool. So these again are more continuation cars. We've got a 50th anniversary, and this was a Sebring edition, but of the FIA, and this one is a 50th anniversary, polished aluminum, by the way, of the 427. So this isn't some wrap or something like that. This is actually polished aluminum, and a big block car and so forth.
It might have sold, what's the story with these little flappers for $4,500 or something there?
No. That's not what that's actually the last of the CSX serial number.
Oh, really?
So it's CSX 4580. Wow. So those wind wings actually go to this car, and that's how we identify them until you pull that wrapper off so that it protects the finish of that. But that's
this car is it like hand built like this? I mean, the shape
really
of this is not, something that they just stamp out. You got to really work it.
You got to work it. There's like 37 different aluminum body panels, and if you really look closely, Alan, you can actually see where the seams are that they've ground down and polished and polished and polished. About 500 man hours just to get that done.
So beautiful.
So it's really cool. Also an example, 50th anniversary, polished aluminum Daytona coupe.
Right.
So, even more body work to polish.
Peter Brock is the designer of the Daytona coupe.
Correct.
Lives here in Vegas.
That's correct. Peter's a good friend. He's just a fabulous guy. Has his own shop, BRE, still well into his 80s, but working every day.
That's
so
awesome.
he's just like the Energizer Bunny. And when Peter was in his 20s, he designed this car.
Unbelievable.
That went on to beat Ferrari, world champion. Peter drew it out on a napkin. And then eventually they started putting it together. Carroll, being Carroll, brought in his aerodynamic experts. The thing he didn't realize is his guys learned how to fly. The idea here was to fly but stay on the ground.
Right.
So that was different. And the guy came in, the expert, and said, "Dumb idea, kid. It's not going to work."
Oh, really?
Carroll said it better work because we've already gotten quite a ways down. And
wow.
Peter showed him that, in fact, it did work and won the World Manufacturers Championship.
We did a beautiful interview with Peter Brock at SEMA one year, and he just truly is a nice man. And, when you think of what he's accomplished, and there's such humility in this guy, you just immediately love him when you get a chance to talk to him. That's what I love about this hobby. There's so many people in it that are iconic, but they haven't lost their humility. I know a lot of them. And of course, there's the other side of the equation too. But Peter Brock is one of the true gentlemen of our industry.
And Peter's great, but it also, if you saw the movie Ford versus Ferrari, it's Carroll Shelby, it's Henry Ford, but it's a whole lot of people behind that. Okay, Carroll was smart enough to surround himself with people like Peter Brock and Phil Remington and Ken Miles. Those were the guys that are in the trenches that get it done. We have the same thing here at our company today. I've got the corner office, but it's not about me. It's about the team of people that work and put this together and get the job done. That's what makes this a legacy. That's what makes this continue on. It's all of you.
Now, this bunny on the hood of this car, what is the story with this bunny? I've heard so many stories. We're going to hear the truth from Gary Patterson.
Oh, there's a lot of stories behind the bunny on the hood. So that was actually done by Bill Neal. Bill Neal's a fabulous automotive artist, ran an ad agency in Texas and so forth, and sadly we just lost him about a month ago. He was 95.
Yeah.
So he could tell the Carroll Shelby stories because the Terlingua bunny was actually down in Terlingua, Texas, and about the only thing that lives and runs around in Terlingua, Texas is a jackrabbit. So that's kind of a spoof on the bunny and the Ferrari emblem.
Okay.
But it's also a story of Carroll Shelby and the guys going down to Terlingua, Texas, and they partied a bit.
Uh-oh.
And the paw up like this was either no more peppers in the chili, or I think I've had enough tequila. So it was enough is enough. But
That's
really,
awesome.
that whole thing resulted around that whole thing. And
That's great.
there's a whole beer drinking goat and all kinds of stuff. We won't even get into those stories. This is a Super Snake Cobra, which was a 427 Cobra, and if that wasn't enough, 500 horses in a 2,480 pound car. Then you put dual quads and 2 Paxton superchargers on.
Oh my gosh.
Just to keep the ante even further up the line.
Now, what's this beautiful gold one?
This gold one. So this is actually a great story. This is a good friend and a mod shop of ours out of Roaring Springs, Pennsylvania. Barry Smith is the guy that owned this car and donated it to us. But he had it made out of copper. So that's like a whole bunch of pennies there, right? So it really doesn't make sense other than, wow, it's a copper car that's, oh, by the way, polished. And if you look inside, it's got a single overhead cam, polished 427 with 8 fuel injection stacks on it. This thing is amazing.
It is amazing.
It is amazing. It's just like, if some's good, way too much is even better. So another continuation of those twin Paxton supercharged cross ram dual quad 427 Cobra.
Now, here is a nice, what is that, a 65?
65 GT 350, one of the continuation cars, again done by Barry Smith, but it's a 50th anniversary of that. So those cars in the 60s, they were $5,000, way too much money. Today they're bringing $400,000 to $500,000.
Oh my God.
So, you could have invested in gold, but you could have also driven your car for the last 60 years, almost, and enjoyed it this whole time, and it would appreciate at about the same rate.
Unreal.
So pretty cool stuff. 65 GT350, very iconic. All 65 started in Wimbledon white with Guardsman blue stripes.
That's another little fact I didn't know.
Right, so all of them were white in 65. Actually less than half of them came with the over-the-top stripes. They all had the side stripe, but less than half actually left the factory with the over-the-top stripes. Really? Most all that you see today have the over-the-top stripes because that's really what people tend to associate Shelby and Shelby Mustangs with.